my parents' marriage finally blew up. My dad left, and my mom didn't have enough money to rent the house we were living in and to provide the electricity and the food. And she had nowhere to go, and she couldn't take care of me. And our family doctor suggested that she send me to a place called Christ's Home, and it was in Paradise, Pennsylvania. And Mom couldn't drive, so she took me there by bus. And they kept children who would be in like foster care situations. There were probably 10 other children there beside me in the girls' house, and then there were probably that many boys over in the boys' house. I guess it was a blessing that I never understood about how I ended up there in terms of not going into foster care instead of. When I think about it now, I realize if I had been put in foster care, things would have been much different with the rest of my life. But at Christ's Home, they were truly a Christian organization, and we had house parents that were wonderful people. And I was totally lost at first. I mean, I tried to think about who I was then, but bringing a 5-year-old, I would have been by then. I started kindergarten. I turned 5 in June, so I started kindergarten in September, and I think I was at the home by November. I don't remember Thanksgiving there, but I remember Christmas there. And I just got left there because Mom had to catch the bus back to Lancaster, and I had no concept of why my mother was giving me away. I mean, she tried, I think, to tell me, but to a child that age, it doesn't make any sense that your mother just leaves you somewhere strange with a whole bunch of children that you don't know. And I would cry whenever she came to visit me. I would cry when she left, and I would cry so hard. They couldn't figure out a way to make me stop crying, and so they would simply empty the room and let me be there by myself because they couldn't make me stop crying. I just couldn't understand why my mother would keep going, and she only visited every once in a great while.
Did your dad visit you?
My dad only ever came one time. Mom, she was working, and she eventually moved in with her parents. But in the meantime, I was at Christ's Home, and I was seeing all these kids who really didn't even have a mom to come visit them. One Sunday, we had a speaker at our Sunday school, which was held right there in that two-building campus, sort of like. He was telling us that Jesus loved us. Well, I got that in Sunday school before. We sang about that, right? But then he said, you do bad things. We all do bad things, and that's because we have sin in our lives. And Jesus died so that we can become Christians or people who love God and who God can love back because God's righteous and we need our sins forgiven. So that's why Jesus died for us. And I thought, well, I knew I told lies in the past, and I knew that I was bad, and I knew then that God must need me to tell him I'm sorry for that and to ask forgiveness, and because of Jesus I can be forgiven. I understood that part of the whole thing, and I went out on the playground after Sunday school, and I was sitting by myself on a swing, and I just looked up in the sky and I asked Jesus, please come into my heart. And I knew somewhere deep inside of me, I felt this peace, and I just had to laugh and swing, and I felt so happy. And as a child, for what I knew about God, I had sincerely asked that prayer, and in that prayer for him to come into my heart. That combined with this overwhelming feeling of needing to take care of these kids who didn't have family because I felt bad and I had a family, they had no family, went with me for the rest of my life. And I say that Jesus gave me my purpose in life at the same time he saved me.